Okay, does it work? Forget it. I don't even want to deal with it, man. So we are still doing the Apple event. Unfortunately, uh, apparently YouTube doesn't care that I. Oh, 1 second. Okay, YouTube doesn't care that for whatever reason I had my audio at minimum, and YouTube still thought there was audio, and so it kept trying to get me for copyright violations. So you get to see a blank screen for now. Let me put on some text. Oh, just bear with. Oh, back. Right. So so I just put this here. Since Apple kept, or no, since YouTube kept trying to block me. But yes. Oh, what is this? You know what I think they're doing? I think Apple's gonna introduce a Pro Watch actually. Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Let me make myself bigger. Yeah, so yeah, you guys, like, some of you have. Oh, I assume they're gonna introduce, yeah, a new, maybe Apple Watch Pro. No, something. Who knows? Well, because the supply chain like guys are usually not wrong. So I wonder. I wonder what it is. How does your watch know that? That's cute. Why can't you? No, this doesn't feel like it's the right way to introduce a new watch. But the supply chain promised us. Okay, let's see. Yes, of course she's levitating. I like their new way of having like a single screen that adds everything, like all of the features that they want. It's pretty good. that's that's kind of the point, right? Like they want exactly. It's like you see, they want to build an ecosystem and then sell you service on top of that ecosystem because obviously you can only grow so much on hardware alone, right? Like there are only so many people you can sell to. So once you've sold to everyone, how can you get more money off them? Well, you sell them services. So in this case, for stuff like storage, Apple has that private relay thing that they were talking about, and whatever else is coming up, like the TV, the music. Yeah, I mean, Apple had been in services in essentially since the beginning, right? Like the iTunes would sell you MP3s, and really, I'm of the opinion that Apple was late to the streaming, right? Because if Apple simply not outsourced, but rather opened up Apple Music to all platforms early on, um, yeah, like it would be the dominant player in streaming by far, right? Instead, right now it's Spotify ish. Um, yeah, 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 and that's part of the thing. It's that they, for the longest time under Steve, it was all services were there to sell hardware, right? Like the App Store itself was kind of like a secondary thing that then blew up afterwards. But the whole point of the App Store originally was to, or the whole point of the phone originally was to have a phone, and they did have a phone. So I'm just making myself a little bit bigger. So yeah, and then services came on top of that, and then even then, right, like bureaucratic inertia meant that as far as Apple was concerned, it was selling its devices, and that's where it made its money. Yeah, 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 exactly. Well, that's kind of the point, right? Like they want to do that, but they don't want to. They don't because I mean it's the same thing with bureaucracy everywhere. Right? Once you have the bureaucracy in place, there's no reason to change, and that's the disadvantage of bureaucracy. Of course, there's advantages to bureaucracy, but we can talk about that in the future. Oh, like this is yeah, they're talking about what is this fitness, right? Yeah, that's not interesting. It's not interesting. Okay, I shouldn't say it's not interesting. It's obviously it's a nice service for everyone, right? Like it's like at the beginning I did talk about this. I said how I used my free month of Apple Fitness to actually get myself into a rhythm of working out, and so once I had that, I didn't really need Apple Fitness anymore. In fact, Apple Fitness was actually slowing me down because the stuff they had wasn't really challenging enough. And that's perfectly fine, right? Like it's obviously not meant for someone like me who once you get into it, get really into it. So and you can see they're talking about shared experiences in I don't know what this talking about. Think about group workouts. There we go. That's why I assumed it'd be shared fitness, right? Shared prosperity, isn't that what? Never mind. Don't worry about it. I mean, that's kind of cute, right? It's trying to get you to get to the gym without actually having you go to the gym. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It works. Why wouldn't it work? Yeah, and it makes sense that they do it. Like, there's no reason why they shouldn't. Like all of those subscriptions, that is the point. That is what Apple's trying to do. Like in the past, it was hardware that was selling software. No, in the past, it was software that was selling hardware. But now it's using leveraging your hardware ecosystem to sell software and sell services, right? Because services make sense. Services are much lower intensity, or no, I shouldn't say intensity, much lower logistics than hardware, right? Because you don't need to, like, you don't need to worry about a um you don't need to worry about a container ship getting stuck in the middle of the Nile, not the Nile, the Suez, for this to be a thing. Yeah, yeah, exactly, and that's why they do it. Obviously, keep getting these. You can you can you stop forwarding me emails in the middle of my broadcast, please? See, that's the thing, right? Like, Apple Fitness is intimately tied to the Apple Watch, and so the question is that what it should be like? Do we finally get to see the iPhones? Like, the future obviously is about services, and Apple is selling, I think, Apple TV individually. I don't think so. Actually, I don't know. Okay, iPhone. Do you connect with friends and loved ones through your iPhone? Oh, good. I blame Google, really. It is. Thank you. We know exactly what it looks like. Like, you don't even have to. Shh. Why was that? Okay. You don't want to listen to this music? Well, I mean, to be fair, I don't either. But like, Apple's making us. Like, you can see why, right? Because obviously they make most of their money in the West, so they still have to. Especially with the amount of services, right? Like, Chinese services, like Apple services in China, are not the same. That's not to say that they don't exist, but they don't have the same, um how do you say, breadth, because of just like regulatory issues. Oh, and this is the weaker one. Yes. No, that's That's not how it works. Facial authentication. Yeah, so they did shrink the upcycled plastic water bottles for the antenna lines. Wow. Mm. Ah, so they did use the better display technology. What is HDR? HDR is high definition, high blah 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 blah. No. What is it? High dynamic range. So it means that, yeah, exactly what she's saying. You can have better contrast, higher contrast, which means that your colors are much not only more accurate, but also like the brightness is more accurate. Wow. Hope. I like those monitors actually. Yeah, very much so. Oh right, what am I saying? 813 is from 2 years ago. Yeah, that's why the iPad is using 813. Did they tell us what the iPad Mini was using? I don't think they did. No, I don't think they did. Yeah, that's all good. Oh, they did increase the core count. Yes, leading competition doesn't count. Well, no, it's because Qualcomm is not doing it properly. But they did hire the people that made the earlier Apple chips, so they're supposed to slowly make their way back up. Well, these things are like 2 or 3 years a generation. You can't catch up within a few months. Like it takes you a few months just to like sketch out what you want it to do. ML is machine learning, yes. That's very cool. I miss tennis, yes. Wow. It's like a scrapbook. Interesting. Because Apple was already pretty heavy on cache. And that is actually interesting. I wonder what the throughput is like. Yeah, well, it's everything these days, right? Like it's just that's how it is. So better sensors. Yes, we did hear about this. 1.6 is really big. Ah, so it is. So censorship is also coming. That is pretty impressive. Yes. Yeah, so what they do is they talk about all of the lower level stuff and then they talk about the higher level stuff. You can focus. Well, I mean that is kind of cute, right? Because it it's fun that way. Come on, Johnny, show me more. Mm. That's really cute, actually. Oh, the dog doesn't know either. Don't you miss old style, old school like detective movies? What did you detect from the sandwich? His hand is shaking too hard. The butler. Oh, the dog too. Oh, poor puppy. Yeah, how dare you hurt a dog? So it's using the ultra wide for this. Yeah. So what probably happens is it uses the ultra wide lens. Like it uses because it always crops a little bit from the outside, right? Like when you start a video, it always crops a little bit from the outside. Cute. It always crops a little bit, so it uses that outside to anticipate, essentially to learn if something's coming into view, and it knows where the view is, right? And it presumably has a decent understanding of distance, and so that's why it changes the focus. ultra wide. Good job. Millions. Yeah, I am too. Actually, it's pretty good. No one's going anywhere. Oh, nice. Oh, that's cool. What are the American ones? I don't. Did you guys see the American carriers? I couldn't find the American carriers. Yes. I am just blind. That is how these things go. The the shrinking of the top part, it actually doesn't make that big of a difference, especially for like iPhone Mini, because the Mini already doesn't have that much room. Like it's not gonna change anything really in the grand scheme of things. Yes, I can put on some background music. No doubt. But I mean, wait. Yeah, is the background music good? Yes. There. Oh, good. So they did like increase the battery size. Whoa. It's interesting though, right? That iPhone, Apple is talking about privacy this much. Obviously, it's because, well, not only because of the issues they faced over the past few, um, however many months about their the abuse imagery, but also just like to try to contrast themselves to Google, right? Because the more you harp upon privacy, the more you can just point at Google and laugh. That's right, and why wouldn't you point at Google and laugh? Well, that's what Apple does. I think they've been on this 2 year cadence for a long time now. Oh, cool. Yeah, because that's actually kind of interesting, right? Like, obviously, if you lose your wallet a lot, there's a good call for you to have a location for it. Oh, 699 is pretty good. Wow. Oh, nice. So we're definitely getting that 1 terabyte iPhone 13 Pro Max Pro. The upper tier, yes. Why isn't he wearing a mask? That's right. He should be wearing a mask. Wait, wasn't Ivan already water resistant? Good job, bro. I mean, I wouldn't begrudge them that. No, like this is no. I see what you mean when you say it feels like self-congratulatory, but it's like it's it's fine. Yeah, yeah. Like I mean, okay, if you're at the top and you know you're making things that really are not that are not really competed against, you can be a little self-congratulatory. I mean, obviously, moral high ground and all of that is quite subjective, but I think in this case, it's it's whatever. It's fine. I don't mind. See, Tim is excited too. Does it look like Tim Cook is a little getting a hunchback? It looks like. He does look like Mitch McConnell. Oh my god. That is so wrong. I cannot unsee that. Oh my god. Oh, don't do this to me. I can't unsee that. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with looking like Mitch McConnell, obviously. Like, why wouldn't you want to look like a Senate leader, I guess? I don't know. Well, um, I mean, okay. It's fine that he looks like Mitch McConnell, right? Jaws, like the shark. What do I think about their music? I mean, you know my opinion on their music. I'm not even gonna dignify that with a response. Most pro. Good job. I mean that is kind of cute. The same camera system as the iPhone. Yes. Two of them are new. 68. Yeah, batteries don't have to come in squares. No. Ooh. You know what they did? They probably just cut down the M1. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm actually now that I think about it, that's almost exactly what they must have done. The M1 that's in the Mac and in the iPad Pro, almost certainly they all they did was take half of those. Yeah. It makes sense, right? Because again, you're sort of streamlining your supply chain because you like the 2 and 4 versus the 4 and 8 that exists in the M1. No, 2 and 6 can't, doesn't matter. The point is it's probably just a cut down M1 chip. No, I'm not tired. But what makes you think that? How could I be tired? Don't lie. Well, no, it's more just like all of these things they've talked about, right? Like all of these things, like all of these technologies technically aren't new because they've introduced them in other things. So if I've seen them introduce these other things in, say, for example, their earlier iPad segments, not this year, but like last year or the year before, then I already know exactly what they're going to say about promotion. So that makes it less interesting. Yes. Oh, is okay. I'll turn the background volume down. Yeah, for those of you who are not watching, I'm sorry. You just have to listen to my voice in silence. Well, of course, you have to say that in Korean. Well, because it's cool to say it in Korean these days, isn't it? Yeah, you have to. If you don't, you're such a square. I don't actually know what square means. Don't. Am I supposed to say that? Okay, I don't know what square means. Don't at me, bro. No, I genuinely have no idea what that means. 1.5. 1.5 is really big for an aperture. Yeah, that that's exactly why you want bigger aperture, right? Because the smaller the number, the more open your aperture is, and therefore the more light actually your receptors can hold. It's kind of like our iris, right? Like in the dark, our irises will open up wide so that our eyes can capture all the light that they can, and in sunlight you'll see that your irises like try to shut themselves down as much as possible. Yeah, exactly. That's cool. 2 centimeters. It's a dead mushroom. Yes. It- he does look like he hasn't gone to the bathroom in a while. Like it's the folds on his forehead. I think. Yeah. Information signal processing or image signal processing. That's cool. Cheer. That feels. I suppose that's kind of cool. Yeah, because the idea then is for some people like they really want like for example when I take pictures of my brush writing, I will then have to import it and then up the contrast, up the brightness, and lower the saturation just a little bit, and it feels like this is something that you can do with it. Yeah. Cool. I mean, after a certain point, right? Like your technology is already good enough that it's all about the creativity instead, right? Like in the past, you would say, "Oh, look, like my camera can actually take a picture," as opposed to being a blurry mess 90% of the time. Well, that would be a technological achievement. Hey, look, she's wearing a mask. Good. I love the guy just chasing after him holding a. That's amazing. He's not even recording as he's doing that. Well, that's the point, right? Like, oh, can you choose focus later? That's cool. Oh, but it's not a light path thing. It's just it captures and then it adds like a blur to it. Change the language of cinema. Nice. They're gonna die. Are they gonna die? Can you imagine if this were all a single film? That'd be so good. Isn't that pretty meta? You use your phone to shoot a movie about your phone shooting a movie. That's that's fairly cute. Why is it? I feel like that's fake. That must be fake. Actually, I want to know. Yeah, yeah, I want to see the actual tech behind it. See, this is definitely because it's just a cut down M1. I think so. Yeah, it because obviously they want that for the desktop. They want that for the desktop version simply because there are a lot of creatives that use Apple products, so they have it on the desktop. And if you're going to have it anyway, and it's already part of the chip, then you can just throw it in for the smaller cut down version. I like how he leans back and then leans forward and goes, incredible. I don't know why I'm like leaning forward in person because nobody can see it. Cool. No, this isn't boring. I don't know what you're talking about. From established final assembly sites. Nice. So in China, they're not sending stuff to landfill in Foxconn, but who knows about their suppliers, right? Nice. I mean, yeah, it's kind of bullshit if you think about it like that, right? Like all the manufacturing had been done, and the final assembly site is literally where you put everything together, and that's it. Like you're not actually manufacturing anything, right? Like yeah, yeah. Okay, you have you have like packing and like boxes, but that's nothing. See, 1 terabyte. Mm, cool. Oh, the 12 is still alive. That's kind of cool. See, now they have one at every price point. I kind of do want that iPad Pro. Oh, right. That iPad Pro is not part of this broadcast because Google shut me down for that. ITist. Yeah, yeah. Remember I talked about that new Apple Watch? Are they just not going to? Because Steve Jobs used to do like this whole one more thing where he would like announce the next great amazing thing. Maybe that's what Tim's doing. I mean, honestly, even if Tim weren't, right? Like it's just a watch, honestly. I'll only buy another Apple Watch when it goes circular. Well, it's just yeah, I don't really like the square watch. It just doesn't feel right. Like I'm the kind of guy that actually has like a watch winder, right? Like I have a watch winder for like 6 watches. It's well, I mean, yeah, I'm wearing those now. Like my Apple Watch sits in my pocket as like a pocket watch. It's more fun that way actually, because I don't need it for health tracking, and yeah, I don't need it for health tracking, and I don't need it for anything else. So I tend to use it for just telling me of notifications that are coming. Okay. So since Tim decided not to share the new Apple Watch with us. Oh, actually, you know what? They did say that the Apple Watch 7 was going to come later this fall. So perhaps what's going to happen is they're going to talk about the new Max later on in a couple weeks. So maybe they'll talk about that watch and they'll talk about the new Max at the same time. That would be interesting. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like it'll be a nice surprise if they show us something more than just like this. Like like the Apple Watch hasn't really changed since it came out, right? Like it looks exactly the same. This year it's a tiny bit bigger, but that doesn't change anything about it. So yeah, who knows? Anyway, yes, we are about done here for today. Uh, sorry about the problems in the first 40 odd minutes. I blame Google for that, honestly. Obviously, it has first 20 minutes, I guess. But yeah, so we're done here for today. Let me say thank you very much for everybody for watching and comments. Oh right, I did want to talk about one thing. Actually, one second. Let me put this up first. What time is it? 54 minutes. Excellent. 54 minutes. Google just got in South Korea just got fined. A slap on the wrist fine, but a fine nonetheless for what was it for it's not called the Open Handset Alliance, anti-fragmentation agreement, whatever. The idea that you're not allowed to develop other kinds of Android if you're using Google services and you're using Google Android. So yeah, South Korea seems to be doing quite well in slapping down these essentially monopolistic behavior, right? So good for them. That's all I really wanted to say. Right, let me change the title. Uh, joining us in medias res. Yes, in res because YouTube um, killed the previous stream. There we go. Done. Cool. Okay. Well, thank you again very much for watching, and that's it for today. Yeah. Bye now. Oh, or download $5. Don't do it. Yes. All right, bye.